A calm lunch turned into instant chaos. A splash of water drenched a woman's elegant dress, shocking everyone in the restaurant. The waitress had acted on impulse, fueled by prejudice and reckless anger, but she had no idea who she was confronting. The room fell silent, eyes locked on the stunned couple. One wrong move, one careless judgment, and her life could unravel. Who were these people, and what would happen next? In that single, reckless moment, the world she knew shifted. And she was about to discover that some actions carry consequences far beyond imagination. The waitress had worked at the downtown cafe for years, serving customers with polite smiles while hiding her frustration. Some patrons carried an air of entitlement that made her blood boil, but she'd learned to keep quiet until that afternoon. A well-dressed couple entered, drawing attention as they walked to a table. The woman moved with elegance, confidence, and a subtle arrogance that immediately irritated the waitress. Something inside her snapped, a flash of anger fueled by years of small slights and unfair treatment. She approached their table, unaware that this ordinary lunch was about to turn her life upside down. One impulsive act, one careless decision would send shockwaves far beyond the cafe walls. That quiet afternoon was about to erupt into chaos, and she had no idea the danger waiting just a few steps ahead. The waitress's hands shook as she carried the water pitcher, anger and frustration boiling inside her. The woman at the table, so poised, so untouchable, had triggered something she couldn't control. Without thinking, she tipped the pitcher. Water splashed over the woman's head, drenching her elegant clothes and hair. Gasps filled the restaurant. Time seemed to stop. For a brief moment, the waitress felt a rush of triumph, but it vanished as she saw the man rise from his seat. His eyes were cold, sharp, and terrifying. The room held its breath. Every patron stared, sensing danger that went far beyond a spilled drink. She tried to apologize, but words failed her. The couple gathered themselves, the woman furious yet composed, the man radiating a silent, terrifying power. The waitress's stomach twisted. Fear gnawed at her as she realized she had no idea who she had just confronted. The man's voice, low and commanding, sent shivers down her spine. Every instinct screamed to flee, but her feet felt rooted. Subtle signals. The tension in his jaw, the controlled movements, the silent authority made it clear she had crossed a line far beyond ordinary consequences. As the couple prepared to leave, the waitress's mind raced. She didn't yet know the man's true identity, a powerful mafia boss, but she could feel the weight of danger pressing down. In that instant, a chilling thought struck her. One impulsive act could change everything, and there was no turning back. The restaurant seemed to shrink around the waitress as the couple's eyes bore into her. Every nerve screamed danger. The woman, still dripping, had composed herself, but the intensity in her gaze was terrifying. And then the man spoke. His voice was calm, almost cold, yet carried a weight that made her chest tighten. "Do you know who you've just humiliated?" Her heart froze. Words caught in her throat. Panic clawed at her stomach. She had acted out of anger, prejudice, and impulse, never imagining the consequences. And now, she was staring into the face of a man whose reputation was whispered about in fear across the city. The whispers, the glances, the silent respect people showed him, they were all warnings she had ignored. The woman, surprisingly, placed a hand on her husband's arm and spoke softly, urging him to step back. There was a moment of silence, a fragile pause that left the waitress trembling. Relief flickered briefly in her chest, only to be replaced by dread as she realized that even forgiveness didn't erase the danger. Her career was over. Her life had been forever altered in seconds. Every step the couple took toward the exit echoed like a drum in her mind. She could feel their power radiating, every movement a reminder that she had overstepped. She had insulted someone untouchable, and the consequences were unavoidable. As the restaurant settled, the waitress remained frozen, haunted by the magnitude of her mistake. The water had splashed, but what followed was far heavier. She would carry the fear, the regret, and the understanding of her own prejudice forever. And in that instant, a chilling truth settled in her bones. Some actions, born of anger or hatred, cannot be undone. The cafe returned to its usual rhythm. But for the waitress, nothing would ever feel normal again. The couple had left without further confrontation, the woman's quiet insistence for forgiveness sparing her from immediate danger. Yet the reprieve came at a heavy cost. Word of the incident spread quickly, and her job was gone before the day ended. She walked home through the city streets, the hum of life around her a cruel reminder that the world moved on, while she was trapped in fear and regret. Every reflection on that afternoon brought a new pang of shame. The anger that had driven her actions now felt hollow, replaced by a gnawing understanding of the consequences of prejudice. One impulsive act, rooted in judgment and racial bias, had unraveled not just her career but her sense of safety. She realized that racism is not only about what is inflicted on others, it is also a chain reaction that can destroy the one who acts on it. As days turned into weeks, the waitress lived in constant tension, haunted by the image of the drenched woman and the silent, commanding presence of her husband. She learned, painfully, that small acts of hate carry disproportionate power, and that the cost of impulsive judgment can be lifelong. Her story is a stark reminder. Prejudice can escalate in ways we never anticipate, affecting not only those we target but ourselves as well. In a world where one careless act can ignite irreversible consequences, how often do we pause to confront our own biases before it's too late?